Hey Fundraiser, I'm Mary Petersen, and this is Hey Fundraiser, the podcast for development professionals who are done guessing and ready to build a major gift program that actually works. Every week, I bring you the tactics, the language, and the real-world strategy to close bigger gifts, deepen donor relationships, and lead with confidence. Whether you're a one-person shop or a seasoned major gift officer, if you're ready to stop hoping and start engineering, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hey Fundraiser, this episode might be the most practical episode I record all year. So pull out a pen, Fundraiser. It's about to go down. Okay, so you finally make the ask. The meeting is set. You deliver the proposal, like all the things. You held your breath, and then the prospect said it, the phrase that quietly kills more major gift conversations than any other. I need to think about it. Your stomach drops, you smile politely, you say, of course, take all the time you need. And then it's really hard to get that momentum back for the gift. So today, I want to give you exactly what to say in that moment. Not later, not in the follow-up email, but actually in the moment. So here's the first thing you need to understand. I need to think about it is actually good news. I know that it doesn't feel great in the moment, but it's not a no. If the prospect meant no, the prospect would have said no. They'd say, this isn't right for us this year, or, we're committed elsewhere. Like when a donor says, I need to think about it, she's telling you, or she's giving you a chance to stay in the conversation. The worst thing you can do is treat her words as a polite exit and then kind of disqualify her. So here's 3 things that phrase, I need to think about it, typically means. So in my experience, the donor is telling you one of 3 things, and your job is to figure out which one of these things it is. 1, she has questions she didn't ask out loud. It could be about the budget. It could be about the timing, maybe about how the gift is going to be used. Like she's not sure how to bring it up, so she's stalling. And so your job is to invite the questions. We'll get more into this. The second thing it could mean is she needs to talk to somebody, a spouse, a financial advisor, an adult child, a friend, whatever. This is normal. This is very healthy. Your job is to find out who and how to support that conversation. By the way, if you're soliciting a couple, it is really important to have both people there at the same time, because when you have a solicitation and they say, I need to think about it, or I need to talk about it, I need to talk it over with my spouse, like it's just stalling. So whenever possible, a fundraiser, have both spouses in the room. Okay, third thing it could mean is she's actually not ready to give and we've asked too soon. The cultivation maybe wasn't there or deep enough, and maybe the relationship isn't deep enough. Like she's being very polite. And your job is to recognize this and gracefully back up to almost the relationship building phase, right? Like a little bit more cultivation is needed. So let me give you 3 scripts for kind of these moments. So response number 1 is when you sense there's some unspoken questions there. So she says, I need to think about this. Your job is to smile, lean in, and say, of course. Before you do, may I ask, is there anything I haven't answered or anything that's giving you pause around this gift? I'd rather you have everything you need to think about than walk away wishing you'd asked. Okay, so this sentence is gold. First of all, it signals confidence, but it, more importantly, gives her permission to surface the real issue, the real question, and it's going to keep the conversation alive. 9 times out of 10, she's going to tell you exactly what she needs to know. Response 2 is when she mentions someone else. If she says, I need to talk to my husband or my spouse, or, I want to run this by our advisor. I want you to try something like this. That makes complete sense. Super smart. Would it be helpful if I sent over a brief 1-pager with the proposal so that the conversation at home or at the office is easier for you? And can I follow up with you in a week to see what questions came up? So what you're doing here is 2 things, fundraiser. You're giving her the tools to advocate for the gift in her own conversations. And second, you're scheduling the next meeting right then. So try really hard not to leave the meeting without follow-up, like planned follow-up, maybe even a date. Okay, the response 3 is when you suspect that maybe she's just not ready. So if she gives off, I'm just being polite energy, like maybe try taking the pressure off. You could say something like, I totally appreciate that. Let me ask, is the gift the right amount, or were you thinking of something else? Or you could say, would it be more helpful to explore something different? I want to make sure that we're talking about what actually fits you where you are today. So those options are brave, frankly. It invites her to negotiate or back away without losing face. Sometimes she'll say, actually, that number's too big right now, but I could do half. Hey, that's still a win. Sometimes she'll say, I don't think this year is right for us. And that's okay too. Like either way, you have real information instead of like this polite ambiguity that I feel like many of us spend way too much time in. So there's a fourth scenario here, a fourth response. And that is when she says yes too quickly, because nobody actually ever talks about this. Like, what if she's like, yes, this is fantastic. Count me on board. Well, most fundraisers celebrate, wrap up the meeting, rush out the door. That's a mistake. If she says yes to your number too fast, your number was probably too small. So I invite you, fundraiser, to be quite bold and brave. And you're going to say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Before we close, I do want to ask, does this gift size feel right? Or were you thinking about something with more impact? I'd rather give you what feels right than what I happen to just ask you for. So that sentence could earn you a second yes, a larger yes. And maybe 1 out of 5 conversations, that second yes is going to double or triple the first gift. So the fundraiser who never asks that question never knows what they have just left on the table. So be brave. The brave ask is asking her after she's already said yes. And you know, you're not going to pull this out every time you get a yes. You're only going to pull this out if she's like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for this. Yes. That's when you say, you know, was this the right gift size, or were we thinking about bigger impact here? And you can and she'll tell you. But let's talk about when she says no for real. Let me address this. I mean, this is the harder one. Like, what about the no? Not I need to think about it, but like a clear, polite no. Here's the move. Of course, you're not going to argue. You're going to respect. You're not going to try to rescue the gift in the moment. All I want you to say when you get a no is, I so appreciate you being direct with me. Could I ask, is this a no for now or a no forever? And is there a different way we could partner together this year? 3 things are going to happen after that. First, you're going to find out if it's a closed door or it's a paused one. Second, you give her a chance to redirect to something smaller or volunteer time or introduction to someone else. Third, you exit the meeting with dignity instead of awkwardness. And the relationship matters more than the gift, fundraiser. Always keep the relationship intact. So I want to also give you a follow-up sequence. After the meeting, here's the follow-up. I don't want you to pester this donor. I want you to wait 2 days and send a short, warm note that's going to do 3 things. 1, you want to thank her for her time. Second, you want to recap one thing she said that you remember and were kind of touched by. And the third thing is to confirm the next step. 3 sentences. That is it. And then I want you to put a calendar reminder for the date that you set in the meeting for follow-up. Now, if you didn't set a date, I want you to put a reminder for like a week out and reach out with some sort of new information, some new piece of information that you have to find. But it's not a check-in. It's new information. It could be a program update. It could be a story that this person's never heard before. It could be a number that connects to her interest area. I mean, these are just things that give you a reason to reach back out without feeling like there's a bunch of pressure. There's also a trap to avoid. So most fundraisers, when they hear, I need to think about it, they nod, they smile, and then they never bring up the ask again. Weeks pass, months pass, and then awkwardly, like half a year later, you don't know if she's still considering or has decided not to make a gift or just simply forgot the whole thing happened. So this is why you don't want to let it sit. You don't want it to go silent. Set the date on your calendar, do the follow-up, and stay in conversation with this prospect. Now, if you want a whole library of these scripts, including how to handle now isn't the right time, we've already given this year, I'd love to, but I've got kids in college, and the 8 other common objections, that's exactly what my book is for. And it's called What to Say, 12 Major Gift Asks to Get a Yes. And of course you get the asks, right? You get the language, the scripts, because I found that there were 12 ways that I asked for money. But more importantly is there's a whole objection guide in the book, because a lot of fundraisers, asking for money can be easy. You ask for the money, but you also put yourself in a very vulnerable position. Like, what if you get a no? And so even though the asking for the money might be easy, it's what happens after that that gets harder, right? The I need to think about it. The I need to speak to my spouse. The, oh gosh, there's so many others, and they're all in the book. So I'm going to put the link below if you're interested in the book. Your action this week, the next time a donor hesitates, I don't want you to fill the silence with no problem. I want you to use one of the responses we talked about. And then write down what happened. Like, notice what changed. Did the donor continue to talk? Did you feel better about leaving that conversation? The fundraisers who learn to navigate the thinking about it moment are the ones who close 5, 6, and 7-figure gifts in a really short amount of time. It really does come down to what you say in those few seconds. So if you need help practicing this stuff, role-playing, getting feedback in real time, I do have a Ask workshop. You should come join us. It is a 4 hours spent with me in a small group, rehearsing scripts, working through real live donor scenarios, and walking out with the courage and language for your next ask. And that is exactly what the Ask workshop is built for. Many people come scared, and 4 hours later, they leave very brave. So it's the closest thing to private coaching that I offer at this price. So fundraiser, think about that. I will see you next week. Until then, stay in the conversation when your donor says, I need to think about it. Fundraiser, thank you for being here. This work you do, it matters. You are the bridge between generosity and impact, and don't let anyone, including the hard weeks, convince you otherwise. If today's episode gave you something useful, please pass it along. One share, one text to a colleague, one review on Apple Podcasts. That's how this show reaches the people who need it most. Come find me at heyfundraiser.com, and I'll see you next Friday.